do I have in front of me? There's a good version of that. There's a bad version of that. All of these have a good and bad version. It's hard to be mouse because people's ego won't let them be mouse. Because if you bring your ego in, you're done. What behavior is this person? So there's two important things. One is we don't label people, we label behavior. You label behavior because people change. People are fluid. For the most part, people are fluid. So I need to look at who do I have across from me in this moment. So how they identified behavior of people, they gave them 4 animal archetypes. Lion, monkey, mouse, T-Rex. Lion is someone who's in charge, setting the agenda. I'm in control. That's lion. When you have your meetings with your team and you're the one talking and your team sitting listening, you're lion in that moment. He's in charge setting the agenda. Mouse is a person who is patient, looking to learn. They're trying to get information. They're eager, they're humble, seeking guidance. It can be the people on your team who are sitting quietly because they're trying to learn. Probably in some sense right now, you and I switch back and forth from lion, and then our viewers, they're all mouse. They're all here, humble, seeking guidance. What can I learn? That's that. But it's fluid. Now, a person who is monkey is an animal where you're social, you're warm, you're talking to people. Hi, how are you? Good, how are you? That's what that is, right? And then they're probably gonna be that back to you, right? Bad monkey, which you probably get a lot is, hey, Steve, I got a great idea. Can I just share it with you? Hey, let me just pitch you something real quick. That's pleading, that's desperate, like that's really wanting something. Now, the other animal is T-Rex. T-Rex, which is something I tend to lean a little bit more towards, which I work very hard not to be, but that's a person who is direct, frank, and forthright. It's also a person who's like, sounds just like the animal. You're more ready to fight. Like something happens and you're like, let's go. There's a good version of that. There's a bad version of that. All of these have a good and bad version, but that's T-Rex. The key to people is not for you to dominate. The key to people is for you to identify the person in front of you in that moment and then adapt to that behavior. So if I've got, for example, if you're a lion and I'm trying to be lion, we're both competing. Nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna be talking and I'm gonna be trying to talk over you. It doesn't work. But if I see, okay, right now Steven's lion, he's the one talking, he's guiding the conversation, he's doing this meeting, I'm gonna go mouse. I'm gonna be humble, seeking guidance. Yes, Steven, I'm listening, I wanna learn. So the wheel actually helps you identify who you have in front and then where do you go based on what you have in front. Now, if I'm dealing with someone who's monkey, I go to this event, you're going to this event, people are talking to you. When you have monkey, you also display monkey, which is warm, social, respectful. However, you want to be aware of like when people are the bad version of that, which is they're trying to sell you something, they want something from you. You maintain that warm, social, respectful, but you realize I've got bad monkey in front of me. I need to keep distance. And T-Rex is, if I've got someone who's T-Rex, it just means being direct, frank, and forthright, but it also teaches you how to deal with another T-Rex. That story you told me earlier, that guy that you checked, that you had checked, he was being T-Rex. He was attacking you. Behind your back, he's still attacking you because you can attack somebody, not to their face, but behind their back. You gossip, you slander, you hurt their reputation. That's T-Rex. That's bad T-Rex, by the way. So you had bad T-Rex, and then you came in. I don't think you were bad T-Rex. You came in as good T-Rex, but you were frank, forthright, and direct. You said, hey, I heard about that stuff you just said outside to this person. If you have something to say, please say it to me. You were actually good T-Rex. You addressed them. And what happens is when you have T-Rex, you have to be T-Rex too. You just can't be bad T-Rex where you're patronizing, sarcastic, and insulting people, but you come in and you be direct, frank, and forthright, and you address the person. It's okay to address people. It's okay not to let stuff slide, so long as you are regulating your behavior. But the way you do this is these animals help you realize, who do I have in front of me? It also helps you realize, who am I more? I know when I see this, I'm T-Rex, hands down. I have to work on it. But some people, when we talked about people who are very subservient or weak or dismissive or avoidant, for them, they're mouse, bad mouse. And when you realize like I go mouse a lot, then that tells you, you know what, I need to be a little bit more lion in my life.
So on this wheel, the reason why it's a wheel is because the behavior that I'm getting is on the outside and the response that I should give them is the thing on the inside. Is that right?
There's 4 animals. Each animal has a good version and a bad version. Good version lion is, I'm in charge, I'm setting the agenda. I'm a boss who's really just trying to guide and lead his team.
Okay.
Bad version of lion, which is outside that outer perimeter.
Okay.
Dogmatic, demanding, rigid. This is the way I want it. This is the way it's going to be done because I want it like this.
So how do I know using this wheel which response I should give? So You're telling me that on the outside of the wheel is the bad version of that animal, and on the inside of the wheel is the good version of that animal. How do I find which response to give based on the behavior?
So first, you always want to stay in the good wheel. You always want to stay as a good animal. Like, you don't want people to pull you out. And that's where it talks about self-regulation, because it's very easy for people to pull you into their bad wheel, their bad animal. And so that's one. So you always want to stay in that center part. It works two ways. If I've got lion in front of me, I have to be mouse, because the conversation won't work. We'll flip. So if I've got lion in front of me, you're setting the agenda, you're controlling the conversation, I have to allow it to happen to you. Here's why. If I try to talk or cut you off, you're not listening. In fact, it's gonna piss you off even more. In fact, there was a big beverage company, I won't say which, a coffee company, a very well-known one, that came to me and said, we have a problem with clients. They come in, we give them the wrong version of what they asked for, and sometimes they lose their mind. They had one client that came in, customer, and the manager said, I thought they were gonna assault the person behind the register. We actually fixed their drink, and they were still just being very belligerent. Now, according to that wheel, that person was T-Rex.
T-Rex, so attacking,
punitive,
sarcastic.
aggressive. And they would flow back and forth between T-Rex and lion because they were trying to control the conversation. They were like, we fixed the order, we apologized, but it kept escalating. What did I do? What did we do wrong? What they did wrong was they kept interrupting and trying to stop the behavior of that person. That person was in this aggressive state, lion/T-Rex. And when you have somebody there, you have to let them go. Because by interrupting the person and telling them, calm down, we're gonna this, what does that do? It aggravates people more. Let me vent. Let me say what I need to say. One of the ways you deal with that kind of behavior is let them go. So long as you're not in danger or someone's trying to hurt you, let it go. When they are done, then you can talk, but they're not listening to you. That's why the wheel helps, because if I've got a lion and he's trying to control, he's being dogmatic, trying to control the conversation, then I come in and say, hey, look, calm down. I got you another drink. I'm not letting you talk. I'm competing with you. It doesn't work. That's why it escalates. Let people go, be mouse. It's hard to be mouse because people's ego won't let them be mouse. It's hard to sit there and take it. But if you can put your ego to the side, which you should put to the side. In fact, we had a saying in the interview room, check your ego at the door, because if you bring your ego in, you're done.